Hi and welcome. Coming in to do a channeled message for everybody for the week of July the 10th. I actually had to look down at the calendar. I wanted to do a live this morning, but my heart and soul said keep this energy for yourself this morning. Allow it to absorb as I went through a meditation this morning that took me to a place of understanding love on a different level, on a new level, a sense of a peace, of freedom that I am not sure if the whole world is ready to embrace yet. I'm not saying I'm special, that I got anything any more special than everyone else gets every single day. But it was an awareness to the simplicity, to the understanding of not what the term kiss means. Keep it simple, stupid. Not that, but that's pretty much basically life. About what it means to be kissed by the angels, to be kissed by the God consciousness, to be blessed. And that moment of realizing that with where we are in these times where we have these newborn babies that cannot be smothered in kisses by the outside world. It's like, thank God. Thank God, because the kiss that they hold on to the dearest is the one of the mother, and also the one of the divine, mother, and of the God consciousness that kissed them before they arrived. So they hold on to something dear and special. And this morning, that was my meditation, was a sense of being given back that moment, return to that moment of awareness of the simplicity of what it means to live in peace, and to have that peace in our hearts, and the outside world, and that need to be validated, that need to be have worth, that need to be better than, more than, was alive more than ever as I seen a huge storm hit through Alberta last night. And this morning I woke up to this amazing peace outside. When you look outside, there's not a cloud in the sky. It is absolutely beautiful. And as I'm looking outside and I'm looking around, I thought, I no longer like storms. I no longer like storms. I used to love the beauty and the awe of a storm, but what it takes to get to a storm, what it takes, what builds up the pressures to get to that point of a storm, all to see that light show, that explosion, and how people enjoy watching people get angry, how that's become a form of entertainment in the world, and how we believe that to destroy things is a good way to get our point across, or to hurt or harm other people. It was never that kind of energy was never meant to build up far enough to take us to those levels of extremes, to those places of destruction. And when we allow ourselves to be suppressed, and we feel as if we can't communicate, we can't discuss things, it takes us into those places. And so what I'm getting this morning, and this is so in the lower chakras, this is in the sacral and the root chakra, and the unveiling, the peeling back, to be able to see the essence of truth, of what it takes to be reborn, to live in peace, to understand peace. And that the more that we find a voice of communication, we integrate the wisdom and knowledge, and we integrate the past with the now. And that, by that, I don't mean living in the past. I mean, what did we do? What was being done back then? Not we, because it wasn't us. It is not us of today that created that past. Every single aspect, even if you were the person, that past is dead. We are no longer that person. So when we continue to be criticized, treat it as if we are responsible for everything that happened in the past. And that means we do it to ourselves. We do that in beating ourselves up continually living in the past. And who we are right now, today, in this very moment, is what matters. That's where we need to sit in what matters today. So I was called to pull out the Archangel cards, the Archangel Tarot, and this is Radley Valentine deck, and I have the original from way back when I did my original angel card courses way back. And it was a time of, I just felt the training, the energy, everything that I took in those times with Doreen at the time and Radley was so full of love, laughter, joy. We just found and it was a live class, and it just was such a place of peace. And that was my why. That was that, and my Reiki training with my dear friend and master teacher Lorelei Scobie was that. And after that time, we had many things that were fated that took us away from our peace for a period of time. But it was that sense of understanding that where there was such an to wanting to explore myself on a deeper level. And even though I knew I had to do the hardcore work to get to where I was, and I would have to see myself in some pretty lights, but it was turning that voice of anger that had already been this building up of storms for so long that would explode and erupt, and thinking that was normal because that was what I was conditioned to believe. But in those times of those training was when I would discover what peace was like, what love, unconditional love was like, what it was like to be free to be just me. But they were all glimpses. They were pieces. It has taken me, almost 17 years later to live in full peace. To today, to understand what it means to be a full peace. The hardest chakra to open was the sacral. It's where all of our stories lay. It's where the emotions are. The root is that grounded, the survival. And if you, being a trained professional life coach, we are trained in spiral dynamics and understanding self-actualization. And so my work has transpired into this whole journey through self-actualization, and now turning my business into a self-actualization coaching business. And the awareness of when we understand how the survivalist in us, that get to that point of, that instinct of we're just trying to exist, we're just trying to get through, we're just trying to, it's like that fight or flight brain. We have so much trauma and PTSDs, and I'm not a doctor or psychologist, just in my personal experience. And we have so much of that takes us so far away from our peace. And we believe that to be the truth of the true self. And those are the false self. And when we're living in those places, we're forgetting. It's almost like we've regained a new level of like an amnesia to a truth of what a truth of peace and love really means. And the yin and yang, the yeses and the nos, the positive and the negative. It all has to be within for us to be able to, have choices to choose and free will. But the card that came out for me was the power of the sevens. And is the Chariot, and it's Metatron. And Metatron, being who Metatron really is in the archangels, was really about staying that forward momentum, being the innovator, moving beyond. So when you work in spiral dynamics, the lowest, the first one on the spiral dynamics was really the survival. It's like, we're just here to survive. We're here to just be. It's the beige zone, we call it. It's the kind of the beginning, the primal times of survival. And then we start seeking out more. We start searching for more. And Metatron is here to tell us that we're here to seek and search out more. But it's not to create more than the next person, to be better than the next person, to have more than the next person. It is to start creating a world that we're seeking out what love really means, what peace really means, what living in harmony really means. And we always have to have a hierarchy. We need order and control, but we don't need to be controlled. And there's a difference. And words have been so kind of taken to be so hardcore to a matter of fact, because we also have ego, and we have two different kinds of ego. We have the fear ego, and we also have the ego that is needed to understand that you are valuable, you are important, that you do matter. And so Metatron is coming through today to acknowledge what we've already done successfully throughout time, throughout the beginning of time. What have we successfully already done? And we have done so many, and I'm leaning forward, is like I'm leaning into everything today. And so what we've done throughout time that is successful, and if we stop looking at just the bad things, we've done a lot of great things. We've created a whole world of growth, expansion, and there has been so many loving things that has been creating. And one thing that was our identities, and being allowed to have our own identity, our own culture, the own essence of our own whys. We've been allowed to be able to build families and structures, and that is, being Canadian and being American, we've had the freedom to run our own households, to be in charge of our own households, and to have that freedom that we sometimes are assuming we don't have, and we're seeking and searching what we think other people have. And that's the biggest pitfall that we have in this world, is I want what somebody else has. I want what somebody else has, instead of looking at the success of what we've already achieved, what we've already accomplished. When we set ourselves free of the I want, and we start asking, what is needed? What do we need now more than ever? We need love. And the chariot is all about charging forward. And this is a determination, but also understanding that we have to have some level of self-control, that it's not all about me, that it's all about we, and that we are a society, a coexisting collective energy. And when we learned to work together, the world will change. And Archangel Raphael is coming up in the Ace of Raphael. And this is about new beginnings, but we have to do the healing work in the beginning before you can start. And so it's this, when we're in the essence of the sacral, and that is the orange. And I just realized I did put on an orange hat this morning because I have really bad regrowth. and this is that new emotional experiences. What do we want to feel? Because the material emotional outburst that we're doing is like a big storm. And those are false realities, because we tell ourselves the stories we want to tell ourselves, that we want to believe. And so when we hear that's fake news, that's fake news. And it's funny because everybody who's on the opposite side of what they don't believe in is fake news. And a real truth is beyond the veil, because we believe what aligns to us. But when we come into the emotional intelligence, what do I feel? And the new emotional intelligence is taking us back to feel. That is allowing us to no longer be numb. What does my gut feeling tell me? What would a mother do? Would a mother go down the street and burn down somebody's building? Would a mother not close her doors and not open her doors and let in the next door neighbors, no matter what, to feed them if they were starving for love, if they were starving for food, if they were starving for their needs to be met, necessities? I don't mean giving to bad child tantrum. I mean necessities. Where would we go? What would we do? This is a return to, how does that feel? Where are you feeling this? This is taking us back to mother energy, to grandmother energy, back to the feminine, as we're also in the time. We have a warrior energy happening right now, but it's also a time of the healing of the masculine, that drive, that force, that push through. energy, that aggressive energy, that understanding that we don't have to be aggressive to be heard. When we speak of a voice of love, we become heard. And this is a healing that is being offered on Raphael, being similar to the Jesus energy. When we step into the energy of the healer of Jesus, even those who thought they were doing great things turned their back on the healer who they did not understand, who they were afraid and fearful of the new that he was doing, or that he was actually out helping, and it went against their order, their structure, or their core belief of how they thought things should be. And so when that changed, those so-called good people became so-called not good, and they fell and bended into the fearful. And this is the energy that's shifting, is that if we call ourselves so-called good people, why are we attacking others? Why are we turning our backs? Why are we calling one out in not nice ways? What are we doing to each other as a society? This is about falling in love. This is about opening ourselves up. This is about a deep spiritual awakening, a rebirth, a beginning. And as we've shifted through that full moon, through that lunar eclipse energy, I can guarantee you I'm as human as the rest of you. And I've all had those same human experiences, same human moments. But as I watched a huge storm last night, I realized I don't like to watch the storm. It's not so pretty as it used to be. This morning, the little drops of rain that were left on the tree, that were just hanging on, that had faith, that they knew they would fall and absorb into the ground, that they were a part of the solution, because now they're going to water and nurture the soil right to the root to help things grow. That's where I seen the beauty. The beauty was in the droplet. It was in the spectrum of colors as the sun would shine on it. And that's the third card for today, is Ezekiel, solutions. We're here now in this time. It's about solutions. It's not about staying in the past. It's not about staying who we are, who we were yesterday, and even being brave enough to move beyond who we are today, to allow words of love, peace, harmony, to start to integrate a whole system of where we can work together, where we can all have different opinions and different views, but we can love each other. But it doesn't mean that we hold on to old core beliefs that are no longer serving anybody. We can set ourselves free of that energy and move forward. Success comes when we understand acceptance. Success comes when we no longer feel a need to make anyone less than. Success is achievement. And in this moment, in this time, what are you achieving today? And it takes patience and self-control, which ultimately comes into the sacral. And as we open and heal the root, that we understand that our survival as individualist, as an individual society, really depends on us learning to coexist in love, understanding, peace. And I hope in some way that this channeled message of this week resonates with you, as the angels have landed a long time ago. But as we're finally hearing the humming, the vibration of their wings this weekend, take a moment and pause and reflect. Breathe. Look at the leaves, the beautiful flowers, the scenery. Nature can teach us a lot of things. Move away from the concrete, the cold, and move into the light. Find something beautiful to see. And look in the mirror and also see the beauty within. Much, much love. Have a beautiful week.